Guys, we're just going to jump right back in to part 2 of the discussion on TSA. The thing that I left off in my previous video was about the training and the day in a life. Like, day in a life basically included just you going to your home airport, you walking around, seeing if this job is meant for you. And if it's not, then once we even got back to the airport, they asked us, they was like, if this job is not meant for you, this is the time to leave now. Another thing I forgot to mention about the training, y'all, was 20 people total in the training, in my training class. Once the mean director that I told y'all about told me, told us that if we didn't have our birth certificate, she was going to let us go. Once she gave us our schedules, she told us, if this schedule does not work for you, let me know now. And basically, if you had let her know that this schedule was not going to work for you, she was going to let you know, thank you for coming out. Goodbye. That's basically what she did, because she had sent someone, a young lady actually said that the schedule that was given was not going to work for her, and she told her deuces. She told her deuces. I was just like, oh my God, I hope I don't get me a bad schedule. And I actually had got a pretty decent schedule. It was a mid shift. All of us started out as part-time, but they had let us know you can work as many hours as you like. No, at the time they told us it was a cap on it, but you couldn't go over 79. So we did not work in a full-time capacity starting out, but it's very easy to be full-time there. You just can't work over 79 hours. So after we got back from our day in the life, they asked us how it was. Like I said, they asked you if you liked it, do you still feel like it's for you, them, and even me, and I would say a couple more of my co-workers felt a little bit overwhelmed. We was just like, oh my God, it's super busy, because mind you guys, the airport that I was at was the world's busiest airport, not the city's busiest, not the country's busiest, but the world's busiest airport. Okay, so it's constant traffic all day. It's a busy airport. So I felt kind of overwhelmed, but I was just like, God didn't get me this far for me to give up now. So I definitely, stayed and hung in there. Another thing about day in the life, they put you with someone. Tell y'all about that. I called the day in the life the wrong thing. The day in the life is actually you shadowing another TSO officer. The thing that I was just talking about is something that we did with the coordinators that were there for HR. The day in the life is actually you shadowing another TSO officer. You're going to work an 8-hour shift, and you're going to shadow another TSO officer. And it's still kind of like the same thing. You just watch and you can't do nothing. You can only ask questions to the TSO officers and other TSO officers if you want to, and try to get to know your surroundings. But you can't touch nothing. My day in a life, they put me with a guy. They're supposed to actually put you with a female, because if you have to do a female pat down or look at a female's pat down, I guess it's pretty much the same advisements, but you have to give specific advisements, and I just felt like it made sense to be with a female, but they had me with a guy. He was okay, but he was pretty boring. It was a long day just watching somebody. It was boring. But that first day on the floor after training, they actually put me with a female to train with. When I tell you all, she was the absolute worst trainer I ever had in my entire life. She was so, and I kid you not, she was so negative about the job. And she had actually been on the job for about 3 years. But she was so negative. She was so rude to the passengers. And, I think a lot of times TSA agents get that stereotype of their being really mean and really rude. But I just felt like I was not going to be like that. Because I had my previous jobs was working in retail. So I had already been kind of like, not a bubbly personality, but saying hello, how are you, thank you, no thank you. I was that type of girl. And to come into an environment where it's like super tense and everybody is like, it's kind of like looking like they hate the job, basically. Like, there were some people that were cool, but for the most part, my experience, I didn't really care for anybody there. And my trainer, she was just really rude. She was really, really negative. She was asking me questions that were really retarded. She got mad at me, y'all, because she told me she told me they tell you that you're supposed to literally follow that person around that you're training with. You're supposed to follow that person around even when they go to lunch. You're supposed to go to lunch with them. When they take a bathroom break, you need to take a bathroom break with them. They told us basically that we need to be on their butt. She was like, go take your break. And she told me to meet her back at the checkpoint at a certain time. So me, I want to, I'm just starting the job. I want to get back a little bit before time, maybe 2 minutes before time, just because I know that I'm new to the job and I don't want to have a bad look on me starting the job. I just wanted to be on my best behavior starting a new job. I didn't want to have a bad look. So I decided to come back actually on time from break. I guess that's not something that they did at my airport, or her specifically. She did. So I came back, and one of the supervisors came over to me. He was just like, who are you supposed to be with? What are you waiting on? So he was nice about it or whatever, but he was just like, why are you just standing here? So I was like, I'm waiting on my trainer to come back. And he was like, who's your trainer? I told him my trainer's name. He got on the radio and said, does anybody have so-and-so and so? He had to call her name out probably like 3 different times. Now, after having worked for TSA for as long as I had just worked, not a long time, but after having worked for TSA, I guess that's not something that they like, especially when you're that's not something that TSOs like, especially when you're someone that did what she did, kind of did what she wanted to do. And she got back, y'all, and she was so mean to me after that. She was like, don't tell them to call my name on the radio. And I was just like, who is this girl talking to, y'all? She was just so rude. And she was just, her attitude towards me, it was already nasty when I first met you. Like, when I first met her, like, legitly, when the supervisor introduced me to her, she did not say hey. When they was like, Shakoya, this is so-and-so and so-and-so, this is Shakoya, she just turned around and looked at me. Like, oh, okay, hey. She didn't say hey, though. She just turned around and looked at me. And I was just like, okay. And I just immediately felt like the tension. And I'm like, girl, I don't even know you. Like, what's the pressure about? I think, or 3 days, I think, and then they were just going to put you by yourself. I think it was 3 days of training with your trainer, and then they want to put you by yourself. I was so happy that second day. I worked half a day with her, and then they put me with somebody else. They didn't even really put me with somebody else. The other person that they put me with, she was acting like she didn't really want to be with me, or she didn't really feel like training with me because, like I told you all, starting TSA, they only have you at 3 positions. So a lot of times the other TSOs who can do a full rotation, I would say 6 positions total, but in phase 1, we could only do those 3 positions, DO, TDC, and walkthrough. We were not allowed to do the x-ray, the AIT, or bag check. The trainers felt like the trainees were holding them back and doing the full rotation. They did not just want to be stuck at those 3 positions. So a lot of them was getting upset. And I just ended up literally, y'all, bouncing around to different TSO officers and just asking them questions about the job. Basically getting my own training done because I was just like, ain't nobody here really, I feel like helping me like that. So I'm just going to talk to whomever I feel comfortable talking with. And there were a couple that was actually really sweet, really cool, really down to earth, and really patient. But for the most part, when I tell you, a lot of them were very mean, very negative, and very standoffish. Like, they didn't really want to talk to you. And I don't know if it's because of the stress of the job, because of the long time they had been there. I don't know what it was. But I just had literally never had a job where beginning it I felt so uncomfortable with my coworkers. Now, I've had past experiences with jobs where I didn't like supervisors and managers, but never with my coworkers. Also, I forgot to mention, y'all, that I had came in as soon as the shutdown came. Literally like a month in, Trump shut the government down. And we had only got 1 paycheck. And after that, we didn't get a paycheck for like a whole month and a half. And we got back pay, but we went a whole month and a half, and you had to come to work. So that really bothered me. But they end up giving us a $500 little stipend. They sent us to Glencoe, Georgia to finish up the training and begin your phase 2 training. What they're going to do there is basically go over, like I said, the phase 1 training is the TDC, the walk-through metal detector, and the DO position. Once you've mastered that position, they're going to send you to training, and you're going to learn the AIT, the X-ray, and the bag check position. You're going to perform pat downs on everybody. You got to go register for Flexi. It's called Flexi, the training. You're going to begin phase 2. They're going to send you to Glencoe, Georgia for about 2 weeks. It's the shuttle. I don't think it's a shuttle that take you. Y'all, my lashes literally keep lifting up and down. But it's a shuttle that takes you, or I don't care, it's just gonna lift, y'all. I don't even care. But it's a shuttle can take you, or you can fly, or you can drive. They let us know that it is best to drive because you actually get an extra $500 for driving for gas. And a lot of people didn't even spend a lot of gas money going down there. I guess it just depends on the type of car you have, but you definitely didn't spend no $500 going down there. I don't really want to go into so much detail about that because this video will be so long. But if you all have any questions, definitely make sure that you comment down below. Follow me on Instagram, DM me any questions that you have in regards to the process or what it's like on the job. But once we got to Glencoe, Georgia, they had us in a line. We signed up for our rooms. They gave us a room. So you have to be on your best behavior down there. You can't go down there wilding out because you're not around your parents and your kids and your husbands and your wives. You have to still make sure that you're on your best behavior because you're at work. Even when you're off work, you're still at work. So... but we had fun after we got off work. We went out on the weekends, and basically in class, you know, they just went over all the rules still. They let you know how it was to work AIT, how to do a bag check properly, how to do pat downs, how to work the X-ray. It was a lot of information, y'all. But you can actually do some hands-on stuff, but they're going to have you there in a full-time capacity. You have to be there for 8 hours. You have to pass a couple tests in order to graduate from the Flexi training. You have to pass a pat down test, an X-ray test, and a written test. The written test I passed. I don't know what I got on it. I was scared to know what I got on it. I just know I did good. The pat down test, my trainer told me I did excellent. On the X-ray test, I was really nervous about the X-ray test. Like I told you all, I had never done X-ray anything before. I did extremely well. I actually did better than everyone in my class on the X-ray test. So all of us passed in my class except for 2 people. If you do not pass, you get a second time. You get a second chance to take it. If you don't pass it the second time, you don't got your job no more. You get terminated, or they send you to your FSD and they figure out what they're gonna do with you. I don't know what it is that they do with you if you don't, but I think you don't get the job basically. Also in Flexi, guys, you're gonna be with people from all over the world. It's gonna be people from different airports, and they're gonna put you in the classroom with people from different airports as well. Luckily for me, a lot of the people that was in my class was from my airport, so I had already knew them, and I was happy about that. Like a couple of people from my training class, they had taken out and put in different classes with different people. I felt bad for them because I was like, dang, they don't know nobody. But you know, it's cool if you're that type of person where you like to meet new people, but I don't. No, I'm kidding. And once we got back, it was crunch time, and they was like, we went back to the TSA office, and we had to go over a couple more trainings, and they let us know that we were going to be on the floor, and we were going to be with our OJT coach. At that point, you had to do, I think, 2 months of training of on the floor, of getting all your hours on TDC, walkthrough, DO, X-ray, AIT, pat downs, all of that stuff. You had to get all your hours on that. The X-ray, you had the most hours to get on that because of It's a very, very important part of the job. If you miss anything, that's your job. So not for everybody, but for new hires, that's your job. So you definitely have to make sure that you're paying close attention to detail. Once I got on my on-the-job training, they did not have me with a specific person. They didn't have any of the people that I came in with a trainer. Once we got back from Flexi, we probably went about 2 weeks before we actually got a trainer. And even when we did get a trainer, it was like temporary trainers, because you're supposed to have the person that's going to have your same schedule. You can work in a full-time capacity with them, but our schedules were different. The person that they put me with, and it was just a lot going on. And once they put me with her, it was time for the bid. We had to bid for a schedule. I think every 6 months you have to bid with TSA, where you have to find your you have to bid on your schedule. We, of course, were new hires, so we were at the very end of the list to choose what schedule we want. Of course, it depended on your tenure with the company. If you had been there for ages, you could pick whatever schedule you wanted. But we were new hires, so we only had the option between 2 shifts, either the morning shift or the second shift. And the morning shift was like, you'll have to be up at like 5 something, or not 5 something, you'll have to be up at like 3 something in the morning to get to the airport. And the other shift was a mid shift. It was the shift that we had already had, so I definitely went back to my mid shift, because I knew I wasn't going to want to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to be at the airport. We did our on-the-job training, and what actually led to me quitting is it was just stressful working in that type of environment. Like I said, I found myself becoming a loner. And I had never experienced that working for any job. Usually every job that I've had, I've always had like co-workers that I could lean on, that I could talk to, that I could vibe with. And I feel like, my boyfriend would tell me, oh, it's not about that. You're supposed to be at work for work. And while I know that is very, very important, just being at work for work, but it's also important to have someone you can talk to about anything besides just work. And especially working at a company like that, you need somebody that you can talk to and share things with. And I had my coworkers that I had came in with. It was like 4 of us that was on the same shift, on the same checkpoint. But after we came back from Flexi, we didn't really see each other, because they started working their trainer schedule. Like I said, when you come back from Flexi, you be with a different trainer, and you have to work whatever schedule they get. So even though we had bidded on a specific schedule, it didn't matter. Once you got your trainer, you're gonna have to work that schedule up until you finished your training hours. And for me, it took a longer process for me, because like I told y'all, I wanted to remain part-time, because I just couldn't deal with the headache of working for TSA. I just felt really stressed. I felt like my coworkers were really negative. I felt like my supervisors were negative, especially the females. Like coming back from Flexi, I remember asking the supervisor, well, who's going to be our trainer? She was like, if you don't know who your trainer is, why do you think I know? And I'm just like, sis, I just asked you a question. They just always really had bad attitudes, the females did. The guys were cool, but the female supervisors, they was on a whole nother different level. I remember getting sick one time, and I came back to work, and my supervisor was like, why have you been missing all these days? We need to talk to you. So I was just like, of course, I know it's you're, as a new hire, it's not a good look to miss so many days of work. But I explained to her why. I had a medical reason of why I had not been coming to work. And I kid you not, y'all, she said, okay, let's go to the back, and started talking to me about all the times I've been late, the days I'd have missed, and that we were going to have to sit down and have a talk with the manager. She basically had told me about everything that bad was going to happen to me, and not asked me not one time about, is you okay? Did you lose a kidney? She didn't ask me nothing about my health. All she was concerned with was me being at that job. And a lot of jobs at the airport are like that. That's why I'm so like, I just don't ever want to go back to the airport, at least not for an extremely long time. It's easy to get on at the airport, but pretty much all managers are like that that's up there. They don't care about your outside life. And I'm not even gonna just say just at the airport. Probably a lot of jobs in general are like that. They don't care about your outside life. They just want you there at work with them. And it just led to me kind of like being depressed, like me getting into it with the passengers, me like every day having to get into it with the passengers, because you taking people's stuff. You got to tell them they got to take this $100 perfume out their bag and throw it away. Or sometimes it was just cheap and you got to go back and forth with them for about an hour because they got to throw away the perfume. And touching people, I don't really care to touch people, y'all. And after a while I just got over it, but it was just so much, y'all. It led to me being depressed at the job, like some serious depression. I remember standing at the checkpoint, standing at the metal detector one day, and a supervisor came over to me and she was like, "How you like the job so far?" And I was just like, well, I guess I kind of, even before I could even get my statement out, she was like, "Don't lie. This job sucks." The minute you get an opportunity to get a better job, take it. That's exactly what she said to me. And I was just like, oh, okay. Not knowing, like, I had really been filling out applications and had already got another job offer on the table and was about to quit within like 3 days. So I was like, sis, she ain't got to tell me twice. I already done made the arrangements. So I was just, like I said, I was really depressed, y'all. But all in all, a lot of my coworkers stayed. But I just decided to leave. It just wasn't for me. But I do miss it a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I miss it a little bit. That's crazy. They're probably like, y'all probably like, she really psycho, huh? But I know I didn't go into a lot of detail in this video. I just more so wanted to tell you all about my experience, and even still I didn't really go into a lot of detail about it because I know this is going to lead to an extremely long video. But I would actually recommend working for TSA. If you have the patience, go for it. The pay is decent. And here in Atlanta, they start you off with $16 an hour. After a year, you'll get a raise of $21. So that's pretty decent, especially working here in Atlanta where jobs aren't paying you much of anything. The average job here is, if you don't have a degree or working like as a nurse or somebody like that in a big time company, like something like that, the average job here is not paying you nothing. $10 they had decent pay. So I would definitely recommend, if you have the patience, if you don't mind going through that long old process, and if you're a people person and don't mind touching people and talking to people all day and letting people cuss you out all day, then I would recommend the job. It's not that bad, but it was bad for me. It wasn't for me, y'all. It wasn't for me. Yeah. That is my experience with TSA. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Again, if you all have any questions, make sure that you comment it down below. Follow me on Instagram if you want to ask more in-depth questions. I definitely respond back to you all. I respond to everyone. So hit me up if you all have any questions. And I love you all. Bye.